What's up, party people, boxing fans? Frank Bay in the building, here to talk about Snackford dropping the WBC belt, what it all means, what people are saying, covering it all, right? We're in the information age, right? 2025. A lot has happened in boxing. HBO and Showtime are gone. There's a new leader, Turkey Al Sheik, Dana White, Zuffa Boxing. There's a lot of things taking the headlines. This Snackford news is nothing new. It's happened before. Canelo Alvarez dropped the WBC belt. Many fighters have been stripped. This is nothing new in the sport of boxing. It's nothing new under the sun. Same things will happen time and time again, and that's life, right? But what does it all mean? That's what we're here for, right? Is it even news? Who cares, right? Pitbull, Lamont Roach pay-per-view. The Janet Beck news failed drug test is coming up. So we have fights to talk about. Yet the Snackford, Terrence Bud Crawford news is taking over, right? Hit the like. Like, share, subscribe if you like what you're hearing. If not, don't be a hater. Still hit the like. But like I said, 2025, it's a lot of things going down. Everybody's making clips, making shows, making movies, dropping tweets. People are having 4-hour lives. Salute BDA. They did a live last night about this, bombshell. So again, why does it matter? That's the question. It's happened before. It's not like it's never happened. It happens all the time. Crawford is going to vacate the WBA and WBO next. Who knows? But the question is why? There seems to be the Ali Act, right? Could be reformed or changed. And people are speculating this is done for TKO and Dana White and Turkey Al Sheik to pretty much reform boxing and call it what it is, a takeover. Now, fans of boxing, do we even care? Do we care about the political machinations of the sport, or do we just want to see fights? Because the reality is fighters come and go. Bud Crawford will be here today, gone tomorrow. It wasn't too long ago that Fraud Mayweather was dominating boxing and running the sport into the ground, in my opinion. And we forgot about him. He's fighting exhibition matches against John Gotti's that nobody cares about. Does anybody care about the past? In reality, do we care about ex-fighters? Do we really care? Jose Resendiz and Diego Pacheco are next in line. Yeah. I mean, boxing, like I said, boxing will never leave you. Lord Chilaquiles, right? Frank Bay is here forever on the internet, right? Boxing will be here, has been here before us, and it'll be here after us. And the internet will live forever, right? People will look back and they'll say, dang, boxing will change in 20 years, right? It'll be unrecognizable for people's children and their children, right? Things evolve, things grow. The sport changes, and it's changing right in front of our eyes, right? But the question is why? Why is this news such a big deal? Now, to my primitive, mind, because I'm just one person. I don't pretend to know it all. I don't pretend to care about it all. I'm not a historian. I don't go look at Ali. I don't go look at Duran. I don't go look at Leonard. I really don't. It wasn't my time. It wasn't my era. And it's hard to say what those fighters meant to those people at the time. Virgil Ortiz should fight for Adama's belt. They're saying that Boots Ennis and Virgil Ortiz are going to fight in March. Matchroom has a hold on that date, so we shall see. But as far as the Snackford news of the day, right, that is tearing up the headlines, that is everybody up in arms and people are battling it out on Instagram, Twitter, or X, YouTube. People are beefing in the YTBC streets. People are angry, people are happy, they're angry. And it just depends what side you're on, right? Are you for Terrence Snackford sticking it to the man? Are you for the WBC and how dare that fighter disrespect the WBC? I'm seeing a lot of arguments for both sides. And you know what my final opinion is? They both suck. They're both snakes. How about that? I don't understand why. Here's where people will lose the argument. It's easy to make the WBC the villain, right? Oh, the big bad evil organization. They steal from fighters and they exploit fans and they're Johnny Blaze salute. Exactly. More BC salute. You know, people will point as the WC as the evil empire, right? We see it all time in the news. You have Fox News, you have CNN. They pit viewers against each other, right? You're either for or against. And my take is, aren't they both snakes and corrupt? Aren't they both whores? Now, I told somebody that on X, in an argument, and I said, look, man, if you sleep with the whore, you probably should pay her. And the person laughed. They said, well, that's a crazy analogy. I said, no. It fits because people say the WBC is the evil empire organization, corrupt. I'm like, well, didn't you know that beforehand? You don't go up to a whore and pretend she's not a whore. You know what they do? Well, not that I know, allegedly, you pay up front. Or you're paying for a service and you pay afterwards. And you pay no matter what. No matter if you finish, no matter you get a time and you pay, right? That's kind of the understanding. And in some places it's legal, right? There's passport bros. They will travel overseas just to get some poontang, right? I don't judge, to each his own. Wherever you spend your dollar is your business. But there are things in society that we agree to. Now, is it right or wrong? It doesn't matter. It's things that we've agreed to. There's no right or wrong in this situation. They're both probably snakes and corrupt, right? Terrence Crawford is no better. This because the Canelo coping channel, Canelo should get that rematch even without the belts, but he'll still lose. How is this Canelo Cope channel, Bones? That's your opinion, but I don't understand where the cope is. I want to see them fight again. But we got to just salute Apollos. Thank you. But we got to just look at this, from a bird's eye view, right? That two people are battling it out, like a divorce, right? Divorces are ugly. Two people are married and they get a divorce and each side tries to pit the other side as the evil one, right? That's kind of what you got to do to win. Well, they did such and such and they're evil. But why not both people are guilty? It's no secret that we know that these belt orgs exploit fighters and they, I'm not saying they're corrupt or crooked, but it's a little shady. We already know this. Crawford, Duck, Slick, Miguel, and Mickey Bay. I seen that. But that's not a secret. Like I said, if you sleep with whores, you can't get mad when you catch something. How about be a man of principle and don't get in bed with the whore? That to me is a lack of principles. It's a lack of understanding. And I don't think you can side with somebody that stiffs the next man. Now, my first take was, look, Blaze doesn't like it. I said I called it. I knew something was going to happen with Crawford doing something to avoid the rematch. To me, at the outset, it just looks like a duck. All this smoke and mirrors, all these headlines are just flashes, trying to mask a substance to distract people that he doesn't want to defend. Just strictly boxing. He doesn't want to defend Undisputed. Those guys are probably a little too big, too strong for him. And he's making it easy on himself to get away. The WBC is just a scapegoat for this maneuver. Now, if you get distracted by Crawford is sticking it to the man and the WC is evil and corrupt, then you're kind of falling for the okie doke, right? Look over there. Don't look over what I'm doing. It's perfect distraction. If you play the shell game on the street, you know what they do. They put somebody in the crowd to distract you. And then they remove the peanut. And then you get hustled for $50, $100, maybe a few $100s. So everybody, while Crawford points in one direction, he's pulling a move in another direction. And people are just simply falling for the hustle. Canelo should. Did you lose money, Bones? I'm sensing that you're really upset with Canelo. Did you pick Canelo or you picked against him? Canelo should forget the person, fight for honor for once in his life. I don't know what Canelo did to you, man. I don't even know if I really make it, Salute Hawker, about Canelo. I think I was talking about Virgil, talking about the, Fedora. I did a lot of shows. When Canelo's fighting, yeah, I'll talk about him. But right now, he's kind of MIA. He doesn't have anything to do with this. You won money, actually. Then what are you so mad about? That's the part I don't get. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to be angry at the guy. I'm not angry at any of these guys. If they win, they win. They lose, they lose. We just need to, focus on the fights. There's Virgil Ortiz, Fedora, Benavidez. Bud is a crook. He's a hustler, man. He's a con man. He's fooling the public. In my opinion, now, they could fight again. I could be wrong. You know what I'm saying? That's the thing I was thinking. I was like, I'm calling Bud a duck. But I don't know. Maybe Canelo Alvarez is part of this plan as well. We don't know. He hasn't said anything. He's dumped the WBC belt. Maybe they're in it together. Salute Al Cuerpo Boxing. So, like and subscribe to him. He's been on here before. It could be a negotiate. Exactly. You know what? And again, it's smoke and mirrors, man. And the fans, the media, everybody falls for it, right? But if it is, then why is everybody just calling the WBC the evil empire, right? They're the man, right? Down with the man, fight the power. But here's where Snackford looks really bad, because again, I follow the news and information just like you guys. We all get the same news and information, right? We're all in the same spaces. There's nothing different or new that anybody's getting, and then it's up to you. If you listen to someone like myself, for instance, up to you to make your mind up and form an opinion of your own, right? So I listened to an interview with Mauricio Suleiman, right? He's the evil emperor, in the castle, and he's got, he's been persecuting Bud Crawford, right? Like, that's how they're making it. Like, Bud Crawford is the victim and he's being exploited, and hooray for Snackford for fighting back, right? Isn't that how they're painting Crawford as like Super Bud, fighting the powers, fighting the man? Mexicans are Chris. We don't care about losses. Yeah. So if someone comes in here, that title's about Craw Ducking Undisputed. Well, that's what I said. That's all this is about, is him getting out of defending the titles. And they're just painting it like he's the hero fighting the evil empire, right? Mauricio Suleiman is Skeletor, or he's Darth Vader, right? He's the evil emperor, trying to exploit Bud Crawford. But I think where that argument falls flat, where it fails, is that this goes back to the Madrimov situation. So Mauricio Suleiman said that Terrence Crawford used an exemption. He petitioned to fight Madrimov. He was the WBC champion. He petitioned to go fight Madrimov because he was the WBC welterweight champion, still hold his title, and then be allowed to fight for an interim title, which would eventually be elevated. So Terrence Crawford is using the system, right? He's gaming the system. He's using the WC to enhance his purse, because he'll get paid more for a championship belt, for his clout, for the titles, right? And he had still owed the WBC for that. So he knows the process. He knows the situation, right? It's just like keeping a tab. If I go to the bartender and I ask to keep a tab, I don't come back and say, hey, man, you changed the prices. I don't owe you. It's like, bro, you still owe me for what you owe me. Okay, if the prices change because of inflation, that doesn't erase your tab. So Crawford is kind of trying to pull a slick one, saying, well, you changed the price, right? He's convincing the public that Mauricio Suleiman changed the price on him. That's what people are arguing for. But it's irrelevant. You owe what you owe. Okay, if the price changed, then at least pay what you still owe. So he's kind of skipping out on two bills. And I think that makes him look guilty. It makes him look like he's not the victim. He understood the process and what was going to be due and owed. That is not, in Tony Montana, all I have in this life is my balls and my word. You know, Jaron Ennis did the same thing, right? He gave Turkey Al-Sheikh his word he was going to fight Vergil Ortiz, and Turkey Al-Sheikh exposed him, said that he changed his mind and turned off his phone. If Bud ducks Canelo Alvarez rematch, who does he fight next? He will make less money. No, they're going to give him a lot of money, and he'll use this as a reason, right? He'll say he's already pretty much saying he doesn't need Canelo. That's why he went on a rant and said that Canelo can't do anything without him. WC didn't take the knee. That's why they are portrayed as the bad guys. Well, Johnny Blaze, the problem is that the cuck media and the fans, you know, people on Twitter, X, Instagram, YouTube, it's easy to paint the WBC as the evil, you know, emperor, right? It's easy. He's the man. He's fighting the power. Crawford should not fight Canelo just to piss him and his delusion. He should. So that's a duck. I don't know. You're kind of going back and forth. So Canelo should. I mean, you want to see the fight or not? I don't know. I don't understand your bitterness. Are we surprised that doesn't want to follow the rules? I'm not gonna make it about race. I'm gonna just look at it as politics, right? There's two sides going at it, right? It really is a play for power with the belt organizations and with the new TKO Dana White. And boxing scene, Paulie Malignaggi is on explaining it. It's saying, look, I understand the belt organizations, you know, people think they're corrupt and shady. And okay, maybe they are, right? And that's fine. But do you want one commercial entity like TKO to be almost like a TV show, and have just a TV show be the arbiter of rankings? I mean, at least with the belt orgs, it's a free for all, right? They're just separate entities, and there's you know, different people can rank how you want. But if you have it under one banner, then it becomes like the WWE. It's just a TV show. There's no autonomy. Your boy D-Style made a video about this, and he said Crawford is the victim. Well, his argument falls flat because he's saying that the WC is some evil emperor organization, right? And Crawford's the man. But that's why. So again, if they're the whore, right? If the WC is just some immoral whore, right? As they're painting it, then why sleep with the whore? I understand Canelo wants to rematch, but Crawford shouldn't give it to him. I want to see. Well, then I think you just have something against Canelo and his fans. I don't know. That doesn't sound like a boxing fan to me. You know, ultimately the sport of boxing is going to continue without both of them. They're both old and they're going to continue. We've already forgotten about Mayweather. Nobody cares about him anymore. He's fighting scrubs and exhibitions. We'll forget about Canelo and forget about Crawford. This will all be history in a month. He signed a contract. What am I missing? Well, it's not really a contract. It's just like an agreement. Like I said, with sleeping with the whore, right? You know the WBC is immoral, right? You know, it's all throughout history. It's painted for you, right? You have people like that D-Style guy. They want to make somebody the power, the man, and somebody the victim. And so you have someone to blame, right? For whatever is going on in a society when it's just not black and white. It's not that easy to make Mauricio to be Darth Vader, right? Because if you could do that, then anything you say is morally right. It's called being self-righteous. Oh, they're the evil ones. So everything I do, no matter if it's wrong or right, then it's excused, right? If you can paint someone as the evil emperor, then whatever we do, I can still hustle. It's all to fight the power. Do you see how that works? Do you see how that's misleading and it's frankly wrong? Margarito went into the sheetrock business. Salute, hit the like. Who, if he is, that's fine. But just to say you don't want to see Crawford, Canelo, or look, man, I don't care about anybody's fan base. I really don't. I don't care if you're Canelo fan, a Crawford fan, Snackford. It doesn't matter. If you're Vergil Ortiz, Boots, and it's good. Boxing is gonna be here. It'll never leave you. We can leave, come back. We leave YouTube. We leave X. We get off social media, take a break, come back. I do it. You see all the news. It gets to be so much, right? It's a lot too much. and we're all getting the same information. Nobody that you listen to or see is getting any different new information. Just trying to understand the obsession and hatred. Yeah, you guys, that's why we do this. Everybody's free to question everybody. I question you, you question me. There's no perfect scenario where one person's right. And that's where people like D-Style fail. They want to do their best to make the WBC the evil whore. But again, why sleep? Why you don't get in bed with the whore? Right? Sleep with dogs, get fleas. I don't do the I don't do the politics. But this is about politics, right? Crawford exploiting two. Exactly. They don't mention that. They will overlook it. They will fail to do it. Yeah, those are good fighters. I respect that. But focus on that. I don't focus on any fan base. Only time I focus on a fan base if I think with the Snackford Glazers if they're wrong. I'm not supporting. See, they'll say, "Oh, when I had the entanglement with people like D Styles or whoever." There's other people on X or YouTube. They say, "Oh, you support the evil empire." I said, "No, I don't support them. I know they're whores. I know they're crooked. I know they're corrupt." And when I say crooked and corrupt, I just mean that I'm not saying they steal. See, when people say evil, corrupt, and crooked, that implies criminality. And here's my thing. If the WBC was as criminal as people like D-Style or whoever that claim that I'm defending a criminal, then why haven't they been prosecuted? We've seen all these sports orgs go down. Why haven't they been prosecuted? It's happened before. Belt orgs have gotten in trouble for taking cash. I think the IBF did one time. So it happens, but they've been criminally prosecuted. So if the WBC is this evil org, then they would be prosecuted, right? But see, they won't touch that either. They just want to make you believe that they're just this evil criminal organization, which they should be careful about. Or they should at least say allegedly, they're implicitly suggesting it, and they should at least say, hey, I just think they're shady. They kind of don't do business the right way and things like that. But they won't touch on the facts is that they haven't been criminally prosecuted. So, maybe they're shady, right? You learned Glazer from who? Me or somebody in the chat? Bulbous, salute, Bone salute. John Blaze, more DC. Hit the like. So we got to be careful when it's just like when I call Snackford. I said, are you saying he's guilty of something? I said, no, he's with Snack. Thus Snackford. Is he aligned with Victor Conte, who has been prosecuted and committed criminal offense? Yes. That's nothing I need to say allegedly. Now the alleged with Snackford is that he's juicing. That's allegedly, and it's all speculation. And I can speculate just like he speculated about Manny Pacquiao juicing, and that's why he doesn't honor him or have him on a Mount Rushmore, right? So when you look at these things, right? The evil empire, Mauricio. Okay, so fine. Mauricio's a whore, right? Are there any good whores? And a whore doesn't mean just a female, right? A whore can be a man. A whore is used in throughout many in political talk, religious talk, philosophical talk. A whore just means someone that with no integrity, right? They'll just do anything for money. They lack integrity, right? They have no morals. Their only moral is a dollar bill or gold or whatever. Throughout history, empires have risen and fallen with whoredom, right? We've all heard of battles being fought over whores, right? So that's nothing new in our society. So labeling someone a whore just means it doesn't make him a bad person. It doesn't make him a criminal. It just means they lack morals and integrity, right? So with Snackford, it's like, why do you get in bed with the whore? They're a whore. You know how they are. To me, in my summation of it, I said, it'd have been better to stand on principle and before the fight say, hey, you know what? I'm gonna fight for this, but once I get it, I'm gonna throw it away. Or you know what? I'm not gonna even recognize it now. If you want to crown me, but he should have been a man of principle and did it. Yeah, he won't fight for another year. This is all a scam. This is all a scam and a hustle for him to get out of fight defending undisputed, that he doesn't have to take on any tough challenges, and he may possibly wiggle out of a rematch with Canelo Alvarez. Right? That's really what it all amounts to from a boxing aspect. Did you see the WC Crawford cutout? No, no, no. But Mauricio, you know what? The WBC president, he's kind of taking the high road. He's not trashing the guy. He's not being ghetto about it. He's not getting all mother effer and dissing him and getting racial. No, he said, I wish the guy the best, but he knew better. That's something that doesn't come across people's radar, right? How about knowing better? Are there things that we do that when we don't know better? Yeah, it's called a mistake. We're human. We make a mistake. But you know what making the mistake over is? Making the same mistake twice is? That's when it's a fault, right? That's when it's like, no, you knew better. Do better. You knew better. Something my dad always instilled in me. He always said, you know what, son? You know better. Whenever I did something wrong, he never allowed me to excuse my way out of it. He always said, hey, man, you know better. I taught you. I know you know better because I teach you. Every day before you leave the house, I teach you what you need to know to fend for yourself in the world. So whenever I made a mistake, he was just more disappointed and said, hey, man, you knew better. So you got to suffer the consequences. And he would support me, but he said I got to suffer. And I suffered, because I'm hard-headed. And I think the Crawford backlash is warranted. He benefited off the Undisputed. He benefited off the WBC title. And that alone says that he should have just paid what he owed. It'd have been more in principle what the man should do. What a man should do is honor, right? Okay, I don't like it. I don't agree to it. Let me pay him half. Or you know what? I'm going to pay you the full amount, and then I'm going to go to court and get it back. But you pay what you owe. That's why it just seems like a media spin. It seems like it seems like a duck because it could have been handled way differently. He could have paid it, put an asterisk on it, said, you know what? I'm going to pay you what I owe, but I'm going to dump it. I'm not going to recognize it. And, the ring belt's the only thing I'm going to recognize. And I'm going to come back for it and see what I could do legally, right? But I'm going to honor it. There's a such thing as honor. If you ever watch like cartoons, things like Transformers, what other cartoons? Transformers, right? There's always an episode where the villains have to unite with the heroes, right? The Autobots and Decepticons. This is some real nerd shit, right? Because there's a greater enemy, right? So they unite and they understand honor. Like, hey, I'm not going to snake you. You're not going to snake me. I know we're on different sides, but there's a such thing about honor. Honor among thieves, right? It's just how like the mafia works as opposed to street gangs, right? There's an honor, there's a code even amongst criminals. That's what separates them. That's what makes them progress, right? Yeah, they would have a truce for that episode, right? That's what they would do, right? And then the next episode, they would be back to fighting. But it's just an honor system. Amongst men, we have honor. Even amongst criminals, right? Like the mafioso. There's a code. There's honor. So on the streets, when dealing with whores, amongst pimps, in the pimp game, there's a such thing as honor. I guess there's a moral code. And that's the thing, Pali Malignaggi was saying is that, we all know how the orgs work. We know it could be shady, but it's a game. We understand the rules we understand the rules going into it, right? That's kind of how it works. They understand what they're getting themselves into. Now, to say you didn't understand, to say you didn't know, it to me is just a lie. And it kind of destroys the whole thing that you stand upon. That's where the Crawford Glazers lose me. Is how can you support somebody that lacks honor? I don't know. I mean, I don't know how you guys feel. Is that something standing on principle? Should Crawford had just paid, said, hey, and then dumped it? Did he not understand the principles and the honor of paying of what the fee entails? Or did he exploit the WC, kind of play him, hustle him, use it for Undisputed, and then stiff him? I don't know. Like I said, in my opinion, it's two separate things. In one world, it's the boxing. What does this mean with Canelo Alvarez, with Terrence Crawford rematch? Does it mean that Terrence Crawford is not going to fight him? He's going to go in a different direction. Is Canelo Alvarez going to fight for the belt? They're saying that that Shiraz and Billy are going to fight for it, the vacant belt, which that's Turki Al-Sheikh's boys. So it's like, wait, if this is a play by them, right, Turki Al-Sheikh, then why are they recognizing the belt for Shiraz? See, there's a lot of things that just doesn't make sense here. This all could have been so easy, right? He just pays. There's no news. There's nothing. They do the rematch and everybody's ready. So again, why? Why is he doing this? And why are people supporting it? I guess Virgil, you guys are arguing about Virgil and Zayas. What do you have against Virgil, Bones? Why are you half Puerto Rican that you're going for Zayas? Zayas got an easy belt, a layup. Yes, Shiraz got to beat him Billy first. Yeah, but they said that the belts don't matter now. Now everybody's saying fuck the belts, they don't matter. Yet every fighter fights for the belts. They do matter. They have a historical legacy. Now how the organizations run, who knows? But it's no different from anything else. The organization WBC claims to be a nonprofit. I'm pretty sure. Okay, so I don't understand why you have a hard on for Virgil. What has he not done that you don't like? I don't know. I'm trying to follow. I think he's a great fighter. He could be next. I think that Jerron Ennis ducked him. And the champion Zayas over him, at this point, if he unifies, maybe, but it doesn't make any sense. You like Pacheco? Pacheco didn't even do good his last fight. Okay, I don't know, man. It's just interesting. You guys are beefing in the chat over Virgil when he's, they probably gonna fight. It looks like March 28th. They're saying that there's gonna be a fight, so they could still fight. The Eric Gomez, Golden Boy said they're working on it this week. There could be an announcement next week. So, if you're calling Virgil a duck, you're gonna look like a fool, really. And Billy Martinez fight of the year. He just needs a belt. Ortiz not ever being a champion at this hype age is ridiculous. Well, he had the 2 years, but he fought the top competition. It's not like he fought scrubs. Who did Zayas beat for the belt? Did he? Now, see, that's what I'm saying, man. Look, you guys, unless it's official, unless there's official offer, a lot of these are just rumors. Look, Virgil won the WBO. They're aligned with Bob Arum. Why do you think all those fighters have WBOs? You guys are getting lost in the narratives. You know what I'm saying? You got to see it for what it is. Zayas who the fuck did he fight for that belt? He fought a nobody. Let's not act like he fought another champion. He did not beat a champion to get that belt. He didn't. The whole 147, they're all email champs. You guys say, he didn't beat a champion. There's a difference between beating the champion. Even Fedora got an interim, I think, and was elevated. He didn't beat a champion, but he's ranked number 2 and Virgil's ranked number 1. That's the other thing, Bones. He's ranked number 1. Zandis is ranked below him. So, you guys want to pick and choose when it's a belt, when it's ring, without honoring, what you're championing for. If you want to honor belt, then honor the Virgil's number 1 for a reason. If you want to not honor and say it's the belts, you know what I'm saying, then acknowledge that if they fought a champion or not. See, that's boxing. You're getting lost in this. He didn't fight. He didn't get a champion. But who did he fight? Who did he beat? He didn't beat a champion. How are you a champion if you don't beat the champion? Is he? He might lose. And I want to see the receipts. Bet a lot of money on it. I understand what you're saying, but he beat Madrimov, who arguably beat Crawford. What I'm saying is he's ranked number 1 in his division. he will become a lineal champ. Well, it's not an excuse, but who did Zayas beat? Did he beat a champion? Yeah, yeah. When Keyshawn got a belt, it was against Baranchek, who fought for a vacant against Navarrete and was gifted. See, too many times, man, you guys drink the Kool-Aid and fall for the narratives. Oh, the storyline. No, that's not how it works. That's literally not how it works. I'm saying if you honor the ring, you guys talk about lineal, then he's in line for lineal. Him and Fandora. Right? Keep the same energy for a black guy. You'll be hating all over with criticism. Who is a black guy? How? The same energy is the same energy. If you beat a champion, you beat a champion. If you're email champ, you're an email champ. Fandora's Mexican and he's an email champ. How if he's ranked number 1? Look, man, if you don't want to acknowledge how it works in the rankings and what we argue about when we talk about lineal and we talk about belts, but beating a bum, do you even remember who Zayas? What was his record? Who did he beat? That's what I'm saying, man. I mean, let's look. When Crawford, he's not defending undisputed. Fandora's trash. Well, he's ranked number 2, so I don't know what you respect. You respect a belt that a guy got gifted, fought a nobody, but then you trash Fandora who has a belt. I don't know, man. You're not making any sense to me. I'm sorry. I just have to call it out. You're choosing what you wanna put forth as your champion, but you forget the rankings, who holds the belt, how they got it, and things like lineal. What do you mean? He's in line for it. That's how you move. You move within the system. The system is the system. You have the system is the belt orgs, and ring also recognizes them. Look, man, that's why people argue. But you got to understand, Zayas fought a nobody. How can you give him credit for that? Yeah, and Fandora was unified somehow. It didn't matter, but he is ranked number 2. He beat a legit top contender. Zoo was in line to fight for undisputed. Look, man, you're gonna argue in circles because you don't really have an argument to have. I'm not even formulating an argument against you. I'm just telling you how it actually works and how it happened. Zayas fought nobody. It was a vacant title. He didn't beat a champion. So I mean. That's why he's ranked like number 4. That's why he's behind Virgil, according to the ring rankings. That you guys respect. That we respect when we say lineal. Oh, that's the true champion. We don't recognize belts. So which one is it? You see how you get lost in a narrative in your own kind of BS? You kind of get lost when you try to argue these things that really don't hold water. You know, and my argument is not for or against. I'm just saying when you put forth the argument like that, it doesn't hold water. Virgil should fight Zayas next 2 belts over. Wait, or look, man, he shouldn't. You know, they're going to go after the most money. More belts, more leverage. But no, that's not how it works, man. That's not how it works. It's whatever money you can get from whoever's going to pay you. The belts, they might matter. The belts only matter for guys like Meritov, like you mentioned, who doesn't have a name. Nobody will fight. But the only reason they'll fight him is a belt. And they're still not fighting him. You know what I'm saying? So, I don't know. You guys are arguing belts. But you don't say what you it's about the money. It's always about the money trumps everything. What do you think they fight for? They don't fight for belts. Now, you're saying, if I say that, somebody say, oh, you care about the money? No, I'm telling you the reality, what they fight for. That doesn't make me a fanager. That's the truth, the reality. They will fight for, what would you fight for? Would you fight for $2 million and no belt or some whatever vacant title? Or would you fight the champion that nobody knows for $300,000? Come on, man. Let's not be naive. You know, we got to be men about this also, right? Being a man is understanding all the aspects about the sport that, we're talking about the sport of boxing. So what I like to do is cover every angle. It's not being a manager. It's not being help protecting a fighter. It's just telling you the actual facts, the truth, as far as that I know. You know what I'm saying? So, belts don't matter is a crip narrative. Is it? No, they do matter. But do they matter more than money? Do the belts matter more than the money? No, these guys fight for the money. You and I will argue about belts and who's a champion and who's not, who's lineal. You and I will do that. But it's just about the money for them. You're going to go where you get paid the most. Bob Arum talked about when Oscar De La Hoya fought. And he said it was easy to make fights for Oscar because Oscar didn't care about nothing. He fought whoever paid the most. So that's why he fought a lot of the top guys. Because, when these guys are offered fights, they're offered if you go listen to interviews, dude, you guys, sometimes I don't know. But, I'm telling you what I look and see. I don't just get up here and talk. I read articles. I listen to articles, during this is a hobby for me. So, some of my, my free time, I try to get the facts for you. Social media, X, Twitter, YouTube, they're giving a list of opponents. Oscar would say, this is Arum saying, Oscar would get a list of opponents and he picked whoever paid the most. They didn't have to bend his arm. So he could have fought lesser competition, but it would have been for less money. So they fight for the most money. Virgil's dad said they were broke and struggling before the Madrimar fight, so understand them caring about the money. They all do. But it's also in their contract that when they become a champion, there's minimums. They get these minimums. I guess for contender, for being ranked, you get paid more as you go up the ladder. Nonito Donaire has been on plenty of podcasts, and he tells you guys how it works. And you guys argue and say that, you guys somehow want to pretend that it doesn't work like that. I think belts matter in a way, like the Canelo Crawford. We know the paper, the Undisputed. Who cares about the W belt? Well, it does matter. It does matter because he's parading Undisputed. That's why it matters. Usyk just got stripped, and he said, I'm undisputed, but I'm gonna get that belt back. So it does matter. Now, that's the caveat, right? It matters when you've already got the money. When you don't got the money, who gives a fuck about a belt? I'm gonna go for how much money I can make. And then when you get a belt and you're in a position like Canelo Alvarez, you can get a big fucking bag for William Skull, then go fight for Undisputed. Look, man, there's no narratives with me. I'm just gonna tell you what I think and how it is. You act like they're gonna make so much less. They do. What are you talking about? Brian Norman got $3 million for the Haney fight because he had the belt. He's getting nowhere near that now that he lost the belt. So I don't understand when you say things like that. You had it definitely matters for them. They have it in their contract. I don't understand where you guys missed this. Chavez vacated the belt he won from Meldrick Taylor. Did he? Crawford is the undisputed champ, but he's not. You can say he isn't, but even Usyk got stripped. He's not undisputed anymore. He said, I'm going to go get the belt back. WBC, a racist organ. Who hit the light? Sadly, a racist favoring the Mexican fire. Time for a disband. Says who? Where do you guys get this? Where do you guys make these things up in your head? I don't know. You guys come prove it. You guys somebody like this likes to throw around that accusation, but has zero proof. That's all you can say. That's your only thing. The WBC, Canelo trashed the WBC. Look, man, they don't give a fuck about it. They give a fuck about the money. If the belt makes them more money, they care about it. If they feel like it's not going to make them any money, they'll dump it. It happens every day. You guys, I told you guys, it happens every day. This is nothing new. These Bud fans are saying that said on the Boxing Voice, the ring matters more than the WC, but now care about the ratings. People pick and choose, man. The low IQ mad that Bud got exposed. I'm glad. Yeah, I think again, don't sleep with whores. Don't get in bed with them. Stand on principle. Yeah, Virgil was broke. He's supposed to fight Stan Yost. Yeah. Yeah, he wasn't make I mean he was making decent money, but not life changing money. Yep, very true. Look, it's a power play, man. It's a power play. There's things going on behind the scenes. Boxing scene doesn't fuck with Turkey Al Sheik. They're going for the ratings. They're saying that the belts matter, and we need independent organizations. Don't let TKO, Zuffa, and Turkey Ali take over. There's a lot of power plays going on, and Crawford is a piece. He's a piece on the chessboard as the face, right? So there's more to it than just belts. There's more to it than undisputed. It's a lot of powers that be, right? Now belts go in the history. Let's see. Belts go in the history books. If Ryan Garcia never became champion before, I don't know. They all get forgotten. Look, you know, see what I'm saying? Do you remember how many belts anybody had? Just like give me the list right quick. I don't fucking claim to know. I mean, I see people. Canelo beat 20 champions. Floyd, Stank, they all these. Haney beat 8. Who knows? Like, do you give a fuck? Really, really, really? Do you give a fuck? Does anybody really give a fuck? I don't think anybody cares. It's just something to argue about. It's something to care about for the now. But in the future, you're not gonna read any of those fucking history books. I don't. Dude, I talk about the here and motherfucking now. The only thing that matters is the here and now. That's what matters. So that's why I said why. Why did Virgil do this? Why did Zayas do that? Why is Bud doing this? Why is Canelo silent? It's all about the why, man. I care about how many good. That's fantastic. But they don't count Mexican Americans. You know what I'm saying? They'll count as Americans. So does Mexico really get its fair shake? Puerto Rico, they don't count. If it's a Puerto Rican American, they'll just lump them in with Puerto Rico. They don't do that with Mexican boxing. They're mad that Bud got stripped. Well, Bud didn't. They didn't even strip him. He gave, he was let strip. He didn't pay he would still be champion if he paid the fee. Yes, we care who's been champion. So give me all the names. Give me all the list and the names that who's been champion, where and when. You right now. Tell me how many champions Canelo beat and who that guy beat. Was it a vacant title? Was it an email belt? Because I think Canelo's first belt was like Hatton's brother for like at a catchweight. And that guy was like an interim champion. You see what I'm saying? Like let's make it more simpler, right? Let's make it simpler. Who actually beat a champion at the time? A current active champion. Let's not talk about emails and interns and regulars and these things, right? Because you realize when you're intern regular, they get elevated. Like David did not beat a champion to be champion where he's at. That's not hate. That's just the facts. You see what I'm saying? Like it gets too convoluted when you try to just make anything a champion. You see what I'm saying? And you can't fool me and say you know off the top of your head because I don't. I'm a fool, bro. I focus on the here and now. Whether that makes me ignorant and a fool, I probably am. But, it's a little too hard to follow the sport with 4 champions, with interim, with regular, with people getting stripped, right? You don't know and I don't know. So let's simplify, right? Whenever somebody tries to convolute something and argue and they try to throw a bunch of information, they're trying to distract you from the underlying principle. See, if you want to argue correctly, if you want to be on the right side, and I'm saying you're right or wrong, but on the right side that you can remember and recall facts quickly, stand on a principle, an underlying principle. And in the Crawford, the underlying principle is right or wrong. Should he have stiffed them? And he was wrong. He could have handled it differently. It's just like anything we do in life, right? we can handle things differently. There's always a way to handle things properly and be fucked up. My dad always said that. I always talk about him because, he gave me a lot of advice. He's always helped me. Crawford probably wanted his daddy turkey, bail him out. It could be a power play with them. But my dad always told me, stand on the principle. Don't give me a bunch of stories. Don't give me a bunch of excuses. What's the underlying principle in the situation that went wrong? Could you have done better? Could you have handled it better? So if I got in an argument with the teacher, if I had an argument with a friend or even my parents, he always said, couldn't you have handled that differently? Just play the game, son. Just say, okay, thank you, be nice, and then let me know and I'll help you battle it out. But you can't just fly off the handle, say, fuck you, throw the belt in the garbage, not pay your bills, right? There's a way to handle it. Do you understand what I'm saying? No honor. Yeah, there's even an honor among thieves, right? There's a code in the mafioso, right? They have a code, they have honor. That's almost the underlying things of The Godfather, right? In those films, it's the honor. There was honor and respect amongst each other. That's the only thing that kept them from everybody just whacking everybody like we see in criminal street gangs, right? Nobody can get ahead because there's no honor. Yes, is the WBC shiesty? Of course, but did you not know that before you used them? Don't sleep with whores. But even then, if you make a mistake and you sleep with the whore, there is a way to handle the situation. There's always a better way to handle things, right? That's what looking back is, right? That's why we get second chances. Second chances doesn't mean you're absolved. If you did what you did, you did what you did, you pay the time, do the crime, do the time, make a mistake, you suffer, right? But we can always handle it differently. And this guy, Crawford, was given chances. He was given the chance. He was given the chance to fight Madrimov and still hold his title. He owed from back then. It's too easy, especially in the sport of boxing, it's too easy just to point and call people bad or evil. Whenever people do that, they're trying to distract you. It's just like Bones. I don't agree with anything Bones has said. I don't know what his angle is. I think he's, I don't know if he's being antagonistic or he believes it. But I understand it. I respect it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to point and say Bones is evil. I want him out of here. Don't like Bones. Do you understand what I'm saying? Now, my first instinct is to get on his helmet and be like, man, you don't know shit, right? But that's not what I'm about. You know what I'm saying? I want to hear him, listen to him, and then I'm going to tell you what I think. But I'm not going to point him out as evil or he's just crooked and he doesn't, know what he's talking about. I acknowledge his point, tell him where it's weak, and then he's allowed to call me out. You guys call me out. I get a lot of shit wrong. There's nothing that I get 100%. You know what I'm saying? But the whole Snackford thing, man, is there a way he could have handled it differently? Or is it, in my opinion, this is just a flat out duck? Is Canelo in on it? I mean, Canelo could very well, when he speaks and he says that's really going to be what the story is. So Bud basically got a happy ending and ran off with the tip. Yeah. Well, that's fine. That's fine. But you got to give a why. It's all about the why, Bones. It's all about the why, not a superficial why, not a why that you heard somebody, but your own why. And that's your why. And I'm not going to paint you as evil. I'm not going to paint you as hating Mexican fighters or whatever. I don't know what the reason is. That's why it's up to you to tell us. But if you don't tell us, it's just like my dad. I always say this, but when I would do something, he said, man, just tell me why, because I can help you. And sometimes I was stubborn. I didn't want to tell him why. I didn't want to tell him I just wanted to be fucked up. I just didn't want to pay that person. I just didn't want to admit I was wrong. I was being fucked up. No, and I didn't want to tell him that because I was embarrassed. And he knew that, but he wanted me to tell him. And if I'd have told him, he'd have helped me. But because I didn't tell him, he punished me. because I wasn't being honest. But at the same time, he was kind of hustling me too, because if I was honest, then I'd have really got in trouble. But at least, but he would have helped me though. You see what I'm saying? Canelo should have never fought Crawford in the first place. Yeah, okay, so you're bitter. You wanted him to fight David. But shit, man, he got more for fighting Crawford. So I don't know. Cry about that. He got paid more. How can you be mad about that? They fight for money. They don't give a fuck about us. Dude, if I was fighting and I heard you guys and I listened to you guys, I would not give a fuck. This is my career. This is my life. You know, this is why we talk about it. It's up for us to talk about it. You know what I'm saying? But the weakest thing anybody could do is paint somebody as evil or wrong. And that's what I'm saying. I even said I'm not painting Crawford as evil or wrong. Yeah, thank you. A couple dollars extra is not worth your dick. Exactly. There's always a better way to handle it. Unless this is just some sneaky backdoor shit. And it's just some grimy shit. That's all it is. It's a hustle. It's a con. It's grimy. And they're laughing. There's fucked up people. You know, and that's when my dad always tried to protect me. You know, he didn't want me to go down that path. He wanted to instill honor in me so that I didn't get tied up with people like that. Because people like that, they eat each other. They end up snaking each other in the end. Let's talk about really matters at hand, sucking or President Shine. Oh, Claudia Trejo. I'm not crying. I think it's weak. He got paid more. I just told you. What part about that is hard for you to understand? You know, I get what you're mad about, but does it make sense? Look, let me ask you that without attacking you. Does what you're upset about make sense? If you pay a whore and she runs off with your money, should you be upset? Let's think about that, right? If you pay a whore and she runs off, okay, let's say she's still, okay, if you pay a whore and you get the service, but she steals your wallet or TV, should you be mad? Great example for Crawford too. Should you be mad? No. Like Bones, not mad, but upset. Or Bones, who should you really be upset about? The whore or the man in the mirror? Maybe you don't trust whores or sleep with them. How about that? You can't be upset if a whore, you know, steals your watch. You can't. You kind of know that going into it. Hey, Bones, again, for the last 100th time, he got paid 3 times more. Why are you angry about that? But it didn't. That's not what it's Turkey al-Sheikh paying for it. Please understand that. He wasn't going to pay for David Benavidez. He paid for Terrence Crawford. That's his butt buddy. Please understand that. That's the reality. Reality sucks. We all know it. Reality sucks, guys. People exploit us. They play us. That's a fact of life. But that's why we have honor too, right? If we maintain honor, it's harder for the snakes to snake us. That's what my dad taught me. Says who? When did Turkey al-Sheikh offer him for that? You're crying over spilled milk. Show me where Turkey al-Sheikh offered him that. You can't. And it's not even being discussed anymore. He got paid for Terrence Crawford. He already got upfront money for a contract for whatever Turkey al-Sheikh wanted. You guys want to be upset about things that you can't control. You guys want to be upset about things that actually make sense. You know what I'm saying? Like paying for a horse service. If you get robbed, you got no one to blame but yourself. Don't sleep with horse. Don't buy horse. Not to say that it can't happen with a legit woman, because women exploit men all the time. But if you go pick up a whore and you get pulled over, you get busted in a sting, you got no one to blame but yourself. Samson offered him 200. Yeah, allegedly. These guys, they'll say something like that. He got offered. Dude, stop. Just stop. It's like the Crawford people. Just stop. He was wrong. You can't say he didn't know better. And the Madrimov is a perfect example. He knew better, man. He lacked principle. You know what would have been a bigger story and made it more impactful, and people would have idolized him and he'd have been a hero forever if he said before the fight, I'm not going to pay WBC. They're trying to charge me more. I'm not going to honor it, but I'm still undisputed. And guess what? Everybody would have had his back. My uncle's called Mexican fighters like Barrera. Why? Way more people would have tuned in, but stop. He got paid more. That's who Turki Al-Sheikh wanted. I don't know. Netflix picked it up. It was for the American. That's the angle, dude. They want an American at the top. And an American like Snackford, not Benavidez, if you understand what I'm saying. You want to blame for Canelo that really any one of us would have did. You understand what I'm saying? It's not a strong argument. We're not going back and forth. I just want to know his why. And he's harping on something that made no sense, that was never talked about with Turki Al-Sheikh and him. That's not a back and forth. You know what I'm saying? A back and forth is somebody saying something that deals with reality, that actually happened. You know what I'm saying? They want an American face of boxing. That's what it amounts to, because they're making this TKO, Dana White, Zuffa production. That's the angle. Crawford already won. What did he win? You're talking about an undisputed he won't defend and is ducking? Okay. Ducking a rematch? Okay, yeah, I guess he won. But it's just real weak to like duck out of it. Yeah, I seen that. They're going back, and yeah, I made a live video about that, man. It's all for show, man. A lot of this is for show. A lot of it's smoke and mirrors, man. Yeah, they want an American face. Exactly. That's why Terrence Crawford was propped up by Turki Al-Sheikh, and now he's dropping the belt. They want an American face. Canelo's not American. Benavidez is not the American they want, right? I'll give you an example. It's like Sydney Sweeney, right? She's been in the headlines for some comments she made they said it was racist. She was propped up for selling jeans. And it's like, bro, that's the face they want. They don't want the other faces. They just don't. You can't tell a company who they want and can sell. It's their business. They can do whatever they want. Dude, he got paid more. Every time you say something, he got paid way more, 3 times more. I go back and forth with Frank. We're the biggest tortas. I go back and forth with it. Well, think what you want, but he got paid more. I mean, I don't know what to tell you, man. You can argue with everybody about that. I'm not going to argue with you about that. I just know factually, the here and now, he got paid for it more. Lily Gadis? Is that another hot biatch? But look, they wanted Sydney Sweeney, blonde hair, blue eyes. You can hate them for that. People got mad at that, but that's who they want. That's America's face. That is who they're selling jeans to. I can cry all I want that I want a brown face, a black face, an Asian face. It's not going to fucking matter. They're going to sell who they want to sell. In TKO, Dana White, they have a demographic. It's just like the UFC. The UFC sells to who they want to sell. We can be mad about it. We can be angry about it. Turki Al-Sheikh is going to do the same thing. He wanted Bud, an American face, to be the face of his organization. Not a Mexican, not a foreigner. What do you think the Ring is doing when they're propping up Shakira, Davina Hanke? I've spoken about this. They're not propping up Bam Rodriguez. They're not propping up Benavidez. I'd suck racist Lily. Is she a racist? Is that what they're saying? Bro, give it up. We can talk about it another day. But he got paid more. And it was Turki Al-Sheikh. Again, all this is to prop up Bud Crawford and those after him. You know, the Shakirs, the Haneys. whatever you want to say, but it's all a political strategy, and there's no bad person. There's no see people want to take a moral high ground and say whoever's good or bad, but there's no good person. They're all fucked up. They're all just greedy. The boxing establishment wants a white and black Anglo fighter to be the exactly. I said this before. Could you imagine the amount of money a white American heavyweight would make? It'd be insane. If Usyk was, instead of Alexander Usyk, if he was Tim Bradbury, can you imagine how big of a star he'd be? So Croc King should get paid more for the rematch, man. More says who? I don't even know what you're saying at this point. I think you're spinning your wheels. Lily is based. I hope so, man. But Sydney Sweeney, she fits the American profile. The America they want. Not the America we want. But that's a company. That's one company, but that's what they want. They caught flack for it. Boxing's doing the same thing. They don't want a Mexican. They don't want an Eastern European. They don't want a Puerto Rican. They don't want an Inui. These new organizations, they want an American face because that's where they want to have the fights. That's where they want to pump the money into. To build TKO, Dana White, and things of that nature. The best fighters from UK are always Irish, Italian, and Welsh. Yeah, they're coming up, man. I mean, the heavyweight champion is a Eastern European white guy, blonde hair, blue eye. It used to be the Alis and Tysons. And that's why they say boxing has suffered and died. But that's life, man. Things evolve, things change. Boxing is changing as we speak. As I speak. They're trying to reform the Muhammad Ali Act. Terrence Bud Crawford is trying to destroy an organization, maybe if not all of them. The fans are behind it. And I understand it. But me, just from a boxing perspective, I'm thinking, man, why? Is it about boxing? Is it about sticking to the man? See, I'm just not gonna go with the narrative that I'm supposed to just champion Snackford. You understand what I'm saying? I'm not gonna just buy his bullshit. And then they'll say, oh, you support the WC and the evil emperor. No, I think they're both full of shit. How about that? And I think you're full of shit. Why do we have to choose a side? Can we be renegades? Mercenaries? Look, man, I'm not choosing a side. I don't give a fuck. I think it's all fucked up. I think you're fucked up. They're fucked up. And everybody who supports any of them are fucked up. I can be a renegade, a rebel for the Rebel Alliance. I think that was Star Wars, right? But people, I don't know. They just have an affinity for choosing a side, picking a side, and dying on that hill. I prefer to let them all fight, and then I'll come in, snatch what I want, and then enjoy life. You know what I'm saying? That's really, I'm here to enjoy life, man. You should too. You don't have to pick Crawford as right. You don't have to pick WBC as right. Think about the underlying principle. What matters most? Why? Do you stand on principles or do you stand on nothing? Do you stand on just going for what's popular at the moment? Oh, everybody likes Bud. Oh man, he must be right. Oh man, the WBC is evil. I must hate them. You ever wondered that? Or you look at the angles, like a gambler. Some of my favorite movies are gambling movies. What was that? A movie with Jason Bourne. Somebody tell me the name of that movie. The poker. I'm a poker player. I like to play poker. And this is all poker to me. It's Texas Hold'em, man. Oh yeah, thank you. Texas Pitbull and Lamont Roach is really being overshadowed by this. I feel kind of lame talking about this so much, but that's what everybody was talking about. You guys wanted to talk about it. Hit the like, man, hit the like for me, man. I need those likes up, bro. We're finally starting to come back, but the likes really help. Leave comments, subscribe, share. Uh, but yeah, man, I'm happy, man. Enjoy life. Sit on the side, enjoy it like some popcorn. Pitbull's gonna win. Yeah, but Lamont Roach could stink it out, hold, grab, slow Pitbull down. What would be nice is Pitbull gets a knockout. You got a gambling problem, bro? All about them Benjamins for you, man. Dude, I haven't bet in like a year. I haven't been to Vegas in about a year. So I think you're projecting, Bones. I think you want me to have a gambling problem because maybe you need a friend for that, which I could help. But I play like poker for fun, handheld, and I'm really good. Yeah, bet the motherfucking house. I go all in. I'll tell you what, when I go on a binge, I go on a binge. I'm in Vegas and I'm gonna go win it all or go home broke. There's no in between because it's like, look, man, I'm here to win. I'm here to win your money. That's why I like poker, right? Because it's your money. I want Bones' money. You understand what I'm saying? I don't want John's money. I don't want more DC. I want Bones' money. You know why? Because he's going after me. Yeah, I will Mexican boxing, but I don't like to argue. I don't like to yell, man. You know what I'm saying? I like this and fucking with you guys because I just like to talk. I like to think. I need to be able to think about what I'm saying. And when I get on there, man, I'm just because you're challenging me. So I'm like, fuck it. I want your money. If we were at a table, I would know you're trying to play against me. You know what I'm saying? What they say in poker, I'm going to give you a tip. You pick the fish. They call it fish. You pick the weakest player at the table and exploit them. Frank put his house on Tio. Yeah. Yeah, man. That's why I'm on YouTube. Holy shit, man. Nah, these motherfuckers, they get on and they say, oh, Shakur win 12-0. Oh my God, Boots is going to kick. Well, bet the motherfucking house on it if you're so goddamn sure. That's why I don't believe motherfuckers. Because people say all this shit. He gonna win, man. He gonna win. Well, bet. Let me see the proof. Bet it all, baby. They steal anyways. Nah, I'm going after you. I want your money. I'm going to eat a steak dinner with your money. And you know what's going to be funny is when we play a hand in poker, the best part is watching you leave the table mad. You understand what I'm saying? I want to see you upset, not anybody else. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know. You might be good at poker. You know what I'm saying? It's poker, bro. You might clean me out. But that's why I play. You know what I'm saying? That's why you bet. Now, there's people that they're called, there's fish, that's the exploiter, and there's donkeys. Donkeys are just like, they're not good players. They just bet it all. They don't really play with strategy. Frank, I think Pitbull will KO Roach, what you say? I hope so. But see, I'm not going to bet on it. I mean, I know the politics. Roach is the darling. He beat Stankonia. So it's really hard to say. You know what I'm saying? But, man, I'll have to talk about that later. I went in too much on the Crawford thing. But I just, man, look, man, I think the guy's ducking. I think this is a play for him to duck. I said it before. I said this was going to happen. Blaze don't like when I say I called it. But, man, I mean, the lives are there. You know what I'm saying? Janabek fight fell out. At least Jesus Ramos is going to fight. Who's he fighting? Shane Mosley Jr. But yeah, man, we've been going an hour strong. It's about that time. I gotta wrap it up. I want to thank everybody, even Bones. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying, man. Everybody in this situation is fucked up. Ain't no good people. Ain't no good guys. And any these people saying Evil Empire, Darth Vader, Mauricio, they're fucked up. You understand what I'm saying? Don't let people fool you and say, hey man, fuck with me. Those people over there are evil. One time I went to a new school. If you ever been anywhere new and there's politics, somebody will pull you to the coat and they'll kind of tell you the lowdown on the work situation or school situation. And they'll be like, yeah, that group over there, da 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 da. And then people try to pitch you and make the other side look bad. Yeah, it's very similar. You know what I'm saying? And you know what? I always was like, man, I'm going to be a renegade. Fuck both of them. I mean, everybody's fucked up. It's boxing. There's no good guys. Are there any good guys in boxing? Tell me. before we leave, who's a good guy in boxing? If anybody comes out and says, "Hey, I'm the good guy," run from that motherfucker. And on that shit, I'm out. Mexican boxing, Lord Chilaquiles, Matador, Bones, more BC, Apollos. Hit the like. We'll be back again talking. We'll talk boxing, man. Let's fuck the bullshit. Everybody's fucked up. We'll be back to talk boxing, real boxing, break down some fights. But we out. Peace.